She looks at her phone for the 5th time in 10 minutes. Still nothing. No reply to the message she sent 3 hours ago. The same man who could have had her last week when she was unsure is now all she can think about. Not because he's special, not because he's different, but because he did what most men never do. He pulled back. He became less available. He stopped chasing, and now she's the one losing sleep. People think women want nonstop attention, constant validation, immediate replies. But give them that and watch how quickly attraction fades. What feels exciting at first turns into comfort, predictability, and boredom. Mystery turns into routine. The prize turns into a participation trophy. Desire isn't sparked by certainty. It's fueled by not knowing. Not knowing if she can have him. Not knowing if he's thinking about her while she's thinking about him. That gap between wanting and having, that space where her imagination runs wild, that's where attraction lives. And most men destroy it too soon. You reply instantly. You cancel your plans when she calls. You explain yourself when she pulls away. You chase when she creates distance. Every needy move writes your own rejection letter. Because the man who's always available isn't valuable. The one who can be had easily isn't worth having. Women test without realizing. While men chase directly, women chase indirectly. They create resistance. They cancel plans to see how you'll react. They pull away to see if you'll lean in. They throw obstacles to see if you'll trip. Most men fail. They over-pursue, over-explain, over-invest. But the men who don't fold, who don't chase, who don't explain, those men become puzzles she can't solve, challenges she wants to win. And that urge to win what isn't easily won is stronger than any flowers or compliments. This isn't about playing games. It is about living a life so full that you don't to drop everything for a maybe. It's about having priorities and standards that don't bend with every mood swing. It's about being complete on your own so her approval doesn't define your worth. A man like that naturally becomes the challenge she craves. Think of what a challenge signals in her mind. Options, standards, boundaries, other priorities. A man who doesn't reorganize his whole life for her before she's earned it. That makes her want to earn it. But most guys do the opposite. She cancels a plan and they immediately beg to reschedule. They text, they call, they follow up. Every attempt to salvage only kills attraction faster. Neediness leaks through everything. How fast you respond, how long your messages are, how often you check in. It shows when you treat her canceling as a crisis. It shows when you try to rush intimacy before it's earned. Scarcity makes you desperate, and desperation always pushes her away. Predictability kills desire. If she knows exactly when you'll text, what you'll say, how you'll react, you become background furniture. Comfortable, but forgettable. Mystery isn't dishonesty. It's simply not giving everything away. You don't need to tell her you cleared your schedule for her, or that you've been thinking about her all day. The moment she knows she has you completely, she stops craving you. That space between her message and your response, that's where imagination takes over. Not because you're playing games, but because you're showing you have a life that doesn't revolve around her. A man who is slightly unpredictable is far more magnetic than one who is on call like customer service. When she knows she can have you anytime, the urgency disappears. When she knows you'll always be there, the fear of loss vanishes. Desire needs uncertainty. Dating multiple women isn't about being a player, it's about avoiding desperation. When she's your only option, every little thing she does feels like life or death. But when you have options, you don't panic when she pulls back. You don't beg when she creates space. You don't crumble at her tests. Abundance creates real confidence. You're not pretending you don't care. You actually don't care as much because you have choices. And women feel that difference. They can sense when you truly have options versus when you're faking it. A man with abundance doesn't flinch if she walks away. That alone changes how she responds. Phones ruin more attraction than they build. Texts are for making plans, not living out the relationship. Endless messages, long calls, oversharing. These things kill curiosity. If she knows everything before she even sees you, there's nothing left to discover. Even silence, when used well, is powerful. She cancels a plan. Don't rush to ask why or to rebook. Silence shows you're fine without her. That's louder than any words you could send. Needy men overcommunicate because they're terrified she'll forget them. But the man who says less stays on her mind longer. The man who isn't always available becomes the one she values most. Women don't want to be chased, they want to be chosen. There's a huge difference. Chasing feels desperate, choosing feels like a prize. The story she wants isn't, "He was obsessed from day one." It's, "He had options, but he picked me." That's what makes her feel special. Constant pursuit ruins the story. Every great story has tension, conflict, and uncertainty. Remove those, and the excitement is gone. Relationships need highs and lows, closeness and space, not a flat line of constant availability. Being busy isn't a trick, it's reality. A man with priorities shows value without saying a word. When she sees that spending time with you requires planning, she knows your time matters. That makes her time with you more valuable. Boundaries aren't walls, they're filters. They show who deserves access. And the more she invests to earn that access, the more she values it. The man who stays calm when she creates chaos, who stays grounded when she tests, becomes the anchor she looks for. Emotional instability screams low value because it shows you can't even manage yourself. True confidence isn't loud, it's calm, steady, and unmoved by pressure. A man like that doesn't have to prove anything. His presence says it all. The paradox is simple. The less you need her, the more she wants you. Not fake indifference, but genuine completeness. When you're already whole, you don't chase, you don't beg, you don't collapse. And that's the kind of man women get hooked on. Not the one who needs them to fill a void, but the one who chooses them without needing them. The challenge isn't about pretending. It's about actually living a life worth sharing, a life full enough that romance becomes part of it, not the center of it. Women don't become addicted to the chase itself. They become addicted to what the chase represents, value. And value isn't performed, it's built. Stop acting busy and start being busy. Stop pretending to have options and create real ones. Stop faking confidence and develop it for real. Because women know the difference. They're not drawn to performance, they're drawn to the truth. When you stop chasing, you stop broadcasting neediness. That's when she feels the pull. The harder you try to hold on, the faster she slips away. But when you let go, when you show her that your happiness doesn't depend on her, she starts wondering why. Women are drawn to men who aren't easily swayed, who don't change their whole mood based on her texts or her silence. That steadiness feels like strength. When she storms, he stays calm. When she tests, he doesn't scramble. When she pulls away, he doesn't chase. That kind of composure is rare, and rare is valuable. Most men mirror her chaos instead of holding their own ground. They overreact, over-explain, and over-invest. But the man who doesn't is the one she keeps thinking about. Neediness shows up in subtle ways. Texting twice when she doesn't respond, checking her social media for clues, asking friends for advice about what she really meant. Every action screams you don't feel enough on your own. And the truth is, attraction dies the moment she knows you need her more than she needs you. The man who can walk away at any point without losing himself is the man who holds all the power. It's not about being cruel, it's about being whole. Rejection doesn't crush him. Acceptance doesn't complete him. He's steady either way. That's why women chase men who don't need them. Because not needing someone is the strongest proof that you have value on your own. Scarcity creates fear. Fear of losing her. Fear of not measuring up. Fear of being replaced. But fear bleeds into everything you do. It makes you predictable. Predictability is the death of desire. She knows when you'll text, what you'll say, how you'll respond. You become safe, but not exciting. Comfortable, but not craved. Real attraction lives in unpredictability. Not games, not manipulation, but the natural unpredictability of someone who has a full life. Sometimes he's available, sometimes he's not. Sometimes he's warm, sometimes distant. Not because he's planning it, but because he's living his life. That's what makes her wonder, makes her imagine, makes her want more. Abundance changes everything. A man who has options doesn't panic. If she cancels, he doesn't beg. If she pulls away, he doesn't chase. If she tests, he doesn't crumble. Because he knows if she walks, others won't. And that calm confidence makes him more attractive than anything he could say. Women are drawn to men other women want. It's proof of value. A man who has choices must be worth choosing. A man who isn't desperate must have reason not to be. That's why abundance matters. It creates natural confidence, not the fake kind. And she can feel the difference instantly. Boundaries are where real respect grows. The man with no boundaries gives everything away too soon. His time, his energy, his attention. The man with standards filters who gets access. And she values it more because she had to earn it. The harder she works for his presence, the more invested she becomes. Men who throw away their own priorities for a chance at romance lose respect before they even begin. But the man who keeps his life full, his goals intact, his plans moving forward, he doesn't need her to complete him, but she wants to be part of that completeness. And that's the difference between being chased and being chosen. Women test without always knowing they're testing. They'll cancel last minute, pull back suddenly, or create little dramas just to see what you'll do. Most men rush to fix things, to explain themselves, to prove they care. But every time you do that, you hand over your power. The men who pass are the ones who don't break stride. They don't beg for reschedules. They don't explain endlessly. They don't collapse when plans shift. They stay centered, and that centeredness is what makes her lean in. It's not about ignoring her, it's about not letting her moods dictate yours. When she creates storms, the man who doesn't get swept away becomes the safe ground she is looking for, even if she doesn't admit it. Confidence isn't loud, it isn't bragging, it isn't aggression. Real confidence is calm. It's the ability to sit in uncertainty without demanding answers. It's being okay with silence, with space, with her pulling back for a while. It's not flinching when she's upset, not needing constant reassurance, not rushing to lock things down because you're scared of losing her. That quiet strength is magnetic because it's rare. Most men react. The few who don't become unforgettable. She remembers the man who stayed calm when she tried to shake him, who didn't crumble when she tested him, who didn't need her to validate his worth. That man becomes the one she can't stop thinking about. The paradox is brutal. The more you chase, the faster she runs. The more you need her, the less she wants you. Need repels, but choice attracts. Desire is born from freedom, not dependence. Women aren't drawn to men who need them to feel whole. They're drawn to men who want them but don't rely on them. The man who can walk away is the one she wants to stay with. And that comes from living a life so full that no single person defines it. That's what creates the challenge she craves. Not games, not manipulation, but genuine self-sufficiency. When a man's life is already rich, when his time is valuable, when his presence has to be earned, she feels lucky to be chosen by him. And that feeling, more than constant attention or endless pursuit, is what keeps her hooked. Most guys think being always available shows care, but it does the opposite. When she knows you'll drop everything the moment she calls, there's no urgency, no excitement. You become routine, like background noise she barely notices. Desire needs contrast, highs and lows, closeness and distance, mystery and clarity. If she always knows where she stands with you, the tension is gone. And without tension, attraction dies. What really draws her in is not knowing, not being sure if she has you, wondering why you didn't reply right away, imagining what you're doing when you're not around. That space, that uncertainty is where she invests emotionally. Your phone can ruin this faster than anything else. Long text conversations, constant updates, hours on the phone, they kill curiosity. The phone should be for making plans, not living the relationship. When you reveal everything digitally, there's nothing left to discover in person. She cancels a date. Most men text back immediately, call, check in, try to reschedule. But silence is stronger than any of that. Silence says you're fine either way. Silence says you have other things going on. Silence leaves her wondering, and that wondering keeps her invested. The man who communicates less but with confidence has more impact than the one who floods her with messages. A short, calm, no problem, hit me up when you're free is more powerful than paragraphs of persuasion. Overcommunication screams insecurity. It shows you're scared she'll forget you if you're not always present. But the opposite is true. The man who gives her space is the one she thinks about. The one who isn't always available is the one she values. That's the difference between being needy and being chosen. She doesn't want a man who chases endlessly. She wants a man who could have anyone, but chooses her. Being busy with your own priorities isn't a trick. It's reality. A man with a full life shows value without even trying. When she asks to see you and you're genuinely tied up, she realizes your time isn't something to waste. She sees that being with you requires effort, and effort creates value. The man who treats his time as precious becomes precious in her eyes. Boundaries work the same way. They aren't walls to push her away, they're filters to see who's worth letting in. When you keep your boundaries around your goals, your friends, your purpose, she has to invest to be part of it. The more she invests, the more she cares. But when you give yourself away freely, there's nothing for her to fight for. Nothing valuable is ever that easy. The men who truly stand out are the ones who don't get thrown off balance. Women create tests, sometimes with drama, sometimes with distance, to see if you'll stay solid. Most men match the chaos and fail. But the ones who stay steady become the anchor she can't find anywhere else. Real confidence is quiet. It's not about showing off. It's about not being shaken. It's caring without clinging, wanting without needing, choosing without begging. That balance is rare, and rare is irresistible. The truth is simple. The less you need her, the more she wants you. Not pretending, not acting, but actually being complete enough that her presence enhances your life, not defines it. Women aren't hooked on men who chase. They're hooked on men who are worth chasing. Men who live lives full of purpose, who have standards, who won't sacrifice themselves for approval. Men whose time, energy, and attention are valuable because they don't hand them out to just anyone. The attraction isn't to the challenge itself. It's to the value that creates the challenge. And value isn't a game you play. It's who you are when you've built yourself into someone solid, independent, and whole. That's the man she can't stop thinking about, the one she chooses without him ever having to chase.